Okay, so we've got an important update in the Gretchen Fleming case, as we have been working this case from the West Virginia cold case team. That's just a little volunteer thing that we have put together where we don't get paid, but it's a band of community members, band of brothers, whatever you want to call it. And we found some important information on the Gretchen Fleming case. So yesterday I revisited an old, it wasn't even old, it's pretty new actually, Gretchen Fleming account. Now, it wasn't of the one who's missing here locally. It's of this woman from Texas. And it's weird. The reason we found out she was from Texas is because even though the name says Gretchen Fleming on the Facebook account, she took a picture with her phone while she kept her driver's license on the back of her phone, like in the case. And I can't make the name out, which could lead us somewhere, but it's a Texas driver's license, so you can tell she's from the state of Texas. And obviously her name's not Gretchen Fleming, because you can read part of the name, and to me it looks like the last name says Ortiz, and you can kind of make out the middle name. You can't really make out any of the first name because her fingers keep covering it up and it's just too pixelated. But this one, it's more of the same stuff that we saw in these other Facebook profiles, which have now been deleted. Daryl Lott, or Preston Pierce, he is responsible for all these accounts. I didn't think he was at first. If you guys harken back to my previous videos, there was the Thomas Bowers, and that's a local guy here in Parkersburg. He had nothing to do with any of this. He's just an old 62-year-old guy, and he had nothing to do with this. He's not even well versed with technology, really. Yet Preston Pierce somehow, for some reason, chose him and his identity with pictures of him to create an account. Honestly, like, I think he should be sued for this. I mean, this is crazy because, I mean, those accounts have now been deleted. I have them saved on screenshots, and I had a local woman here who lived under him. He was a landlord and she lived under him, and she said there's no way he's creating these. So we now believe it is Preston Pierce, because one of the women in our cold case team from Huntington, she came out in a group chat saying she was raped by Preston Pierce, allegedly. And the next day, he created a Facebook profile with her maiden name on it. And she said, well, this had to be Preston Pierce because that's the name he knew me by then. She's now remarried, or married, and she has a different last name now. But he didn't know what that was, so he created it with her maiden name on it back when he raped her. And she said that her story basically is that she was basically out of it for 3 days. And she woke up and he threw her out in a snowstorm. Never came back to get her. Basically almost in a blizzard. And the other woman that was there saved and rescued her. So this is all crazy stuff. And now we're finding out all these Facebook profiles of these Gretchen Flemings and Thomas Bowers, they've been deleted. The Gretchen Flemings ones were like blurred out, cartoonish images. I'll put a link to my previous video. I would highly encourage you guys check that out. I mean, this isn't for views. I just want you to understand what we're talking about. This is really important stuff. And nobody, not even the Parkersburg police, is doing what we are doing. We are making connections real time right now, almost 2 years later. Well, a year and a half later, that nobody else is making. This is human trafficking. I'm telling you, I believe Gretchen Fleming is alive. I think she's out there somewhere, hiding in somebody's basement, being passed around. I believe this. I'm not trying to instill false hopes. I don't think she's murdered. Nobody's found a body. We've been out searching. Lots of people have been out searching. One of our women has done over 300 searches, and the Parkersburg police harassed and threatened her. Followed her to work every day, said you'll have to stop searching or you're going to get yourself killed, or you're going to get yourself charged for impeding an active police investigation. Constantly did that to her. And one of the guys that searched with me last year, Detective Zimmerman, called him up personally and says, you're going to have to stop searching or you're going to get charged with impeding an active police investigation. Now, there was a big-time YouTuber, Kendall Ray, and she's got almost 4 million subscribers, like 3.8 million, and she did a video on Gretchen Fleming 2 days ago, and everybody's kind of happy because it gets this case some notoriety and some publicity, but I'm pretty disappointed with how she did that video because she just credited the Parkersburg police like they've been doing everything they can. She credited the family. The family has not even worked with me, flat out, period. I've had zero interaction with them. I've tried. They won't. Now, sadly, Louise Fleming has passed away, and that's really sad. She didn't get the answers for Gretchen that everybody was hoping she would get as she was waiting on a hip transplant, and it's just really unfortunate. I mean, nobody wanted that to happen, and that's been about a month ago or so that she passed away, and she was the one that was spearheading a lot of this, So, I don't understand it. None of this has made sense, but just know that we're still out there looking. We're still searching. We did get a separate story from the drug community that Dylan Wembley and Ty Thomas were the ones responsible for roofing Gretchen, and that she was placed in a metal barrel out in the Wayne National Forest. I honestly don't think that holds any water. I don't think it's true. We heard that tip last year. We went out to St. Mary's, West Virginia, found a metal barrel out there. Didn't find her in it, but apparently those things are all over, and we needed to cross state lines, go into Ohio and go up farther. There's so much to look at. I don't know where to begin or end. I know if we don't look, nobody's going to find her, but honestly, I don't really think that version of the story is true. It doesn't fit the timeline. I think this is Preston Pierce. It's human trafficking, and I think the research that we're doing in the West Virginia cold case team, I think you want to look at Varghese King, senior and junior out of Marietta College. The senior, Varghese King Sr., he's a professor at Marietta College, and one of the profiles that Preston Pierce created under his former name, Daryl Lott, it's linked up to all these fan pages, and it's got his son on it, Varghese King Jr., with headphones on, playing video games or something, and it's just really weird. And with them being Indian and all the other Indian connections that we have seen, I wonder if they're a conduit. I wonder if somehow they helped to traffic Gretchen overseas, or if maybe she's somehow in their basement. I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just speculating. Nobody here is guilty until proven guilty in a court of law, and right now even Preston Pierce isn't being put in that situation. So, but I do believe more than ever now, I've entertained him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and now that these profiles are deleted, after we've screenshot them, they were there, and I just think there's real legitimacy here that she was human trafficked. That's my personal belief. Until a body's found, prove me wrong, but it's sad. I mean, we want a conclusion to this. We all want to, if she's out there alive, we want to rescue her. I'm not giving up on this. And I would encourage a lot of you community members who are local and even across the nation who have now picked up interest in this case because Kendall Ray now put it on her YouTube channel. It was also on Discovery ID back in October of last year. We're coming up on a year now for that show that was being released, and that was a joke. The police just pat themselves on the back and said, yeah, we drilled a well for $18,000 out in Ravenswood. She wasn't there. We paid another $10,000 to get into his car and do DNA testing, but still no Gretchen Fleming. So honestly, it's speculation. I honestly think the police are involved in this, with Preston Pierce being a former cop in Vienna, which just connects to Parkersburg. There's a lot going on here, and the way they've harassed that woman who did over 300 searches, the way they told my friend to stop searching, no police is supposed to threaten community members from trying to find a missing person. This is bogus. So, I don't know. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to. That's my opinion. That's where I stand. And just know that we're not giving up on this. We're still looking real time. And if we can figure out that woman's name off the Gretchen Fleming profile, I'll put a picture here at the end of this video so you know what I'm talking about. You guys can try to investigate for yourselves, look that account up, see if you can figure something out. There are clues out there, guys. You just have to know where to look. All right, so moving under fire, signing off on this video. Godspeed. So here you see the Latin phrase, and also if you notice it says Uttar Pradesh restaurant, that's in India. And its page was opened as a business. Now, there's no way this is a coincidence. It would be a mathematical impossibility, but we'll show you more Megan Abbott accounts later on in this video. Now, Daryl Lott was his original name, and this page was created as an NGO, a non-governmental organization. And you can see the date created, February 4th, 2023. That's the same exact day that Parkersburg Police announced the search at Mountwood Park. Here's yet another Daryl Lott account on July 19th of last year. He's got this Indian or Pakistani girl with a shawl on her head, and the message on there says, "So cute, laugh at your problems, everybody else does." It goes on to say, "I need you like a heart needs a beat. Come live in my heart and pay no rent." Could that be some kind of cryptic message here? It seems like a reference to Gretchen Fleming at first guess. I mean, wherever she's being held hostage, that she's not paying any rent. Wonder if there's a play on words with heart. Come live in my heart. Almost makes you wonder if it's a Star Wars reference or something, but who knows? You can go crazy thinking about all this. One of the ladies in our group looked it up, and I think it Google reversed to a photography company or something. Now let's shift gears a little bit and focus on John Jason Pape, okay? The family cleared him. Parkersburg Police cleared him. Well, let's come out with the truth, shall we? This man is a heroin junkie who moved to he moved to Barlow, Ohio to try to get off heroin. His uncle gave him a house and a job at Eramet, which is up there between Marietta and Belpre, Ohio. So I called it right away. I said John Jason Pape is involved in this crime, but Parkersburg Police and the family absolved it. They said, nope, he's not guilty, and they said that right away. Shame on them, because I think they're in the wrong, and look at how his story has changed. Mary Mack is a DJ, not the one at My Way that night, but you can see in the profile picture that she's a DJ, and her story and recounting of events was this. I can personally speak for Jason and say that there is no way he would have hurt anyone. He told me directly that he gave her a ride from the first bar to the second bar, and that when they got to the second bar, she left her items in his vehicle. He stated that Gretchen and him were getting ready to leave, and when they got outside, he remembered he didn't pay the bill, so he stepped back inside real quick. When he came back out, she was gone. He drove around the bar for a few minutes trying to find her, and when he didn't find her, he decided the best way to return her belongings was to take them back to the first bar where he knew she frequented. Jason has been cleared as a suspect by the authorities. He is the type that would give the shirt off his back if you needed it. Now pay attention to this part of the story right here, where it says he stated that Gretchen and him were getting ready to leave, and when they got outside, he remembered he didn't pay the bill. So he stepped back inside real quick. When he came back out, she was gone. So that doesn't make much sense to me. He leaves her outside to go back in and pay the bill, and when he comes out, she's gone? Doesn't that remind you of an awful lot of the Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito situation with the Mary Piglets? For those who recall this story, it was 3 years ago in August of 2021, and Brian Laundrie was screaming at Gabby Petito. She was in tears. They were in a big argument, and they walked outside to console her, I think, and he remembered he didn't pay the bill, so he went back inside, and I believe it was the next day that Brian had killed Gabrielle Petito. Now, in this story with Gretchen Fleming, we never heard it on the documentary from police. We never saw it on the camera surveillance footage. The bar owners never said that that happened. They said that Gretchen left the casino room with Preston Pierce and walked out the door following behind him. So that completely differs with what you just heard from Mary Mack. And John Jason Pape keeps a low profile on social media. He's deleted his pictures. He doesn't want to be seen or known. And his story's completely different. Now, from what he's writing on these Facebook posts, for a guy who never really gets on social media, you can tell he's back on heroin. I don't know if he's always been off, but you can just tell from the cursing and the rambling. His girlfriend is Melissa Abrams and Beanie Marie, and of course she's got the drug background as well. But this narrative is that Gretchen knew him for about a week and a half before she came up missing, and that he was her ride from her job at H&M to the front row. But it was a few hours before she even got to the front row. So there's a lot going on. Now, one of his Facebook friends is Tommy Platt, and I didn't notice that before when he had the profile. So I'm not sure, but Tommy Platt was the guy who was involved in killing himself and his girlfriend out in Vienna earlier this year that we documented on the channel. So, he was also in the drug community. He was on drugs, from what I understand, and it's just interesting that he would have him at the top of his friends list on here. Okay, so this is the black wrecker truck he drove that night. She asked him why he was driving it. That's his girlfriend now, Melissa Abrams. This is the house that his uncle gave him to get off of heroin. This is a Thomas Bowers account, and here are pictures of him, but he had nothing to do with it. His identity was stolen, and all the fan pages here, all these women blurred out. And then Varghese King Jr. is here, linked in this somehow. This here is a Wyatt Lott profile. I think it's a relative of Daryl Lott's, and you can see the Star Wars reference again, so it's really weird. This was David Fleming as neighbors with Earl Young Jr. in the Taylor Tibbs case. They're next door neighbors. Here he's taunting us, saying, "Keep calm, I'm still here," but now this is deleted. So this is where it gets good. This is the Gretchen Fleming account in question, and read the caption: "Renting out homes and trucks, USA only." Well, you remember the movie Girls for Rent with the lead character Preston Pierce? She's specifying USA only, right? Making dreams a reality one key at a time. And then you see Zillow houses for rent on her profile. Here's the Texas ID. You can freeze it right here. See if you can read her name on that ID. And here it is, Zillow house for rent as a friend. You're going to see that on this account right here. Re-Rock Ib Islam. He's one of the 7 followers. So this is another foreign Indian connection. I think it's India. It says a lone boy on there. And Rajshahi is the city, January 3rd of 23. That's right after she came up missing. There's a blue motorcycle on it. He's careful not to show his face, but you'll see it later. Here's some scandalous pictures of her sitting on the bed with a sex toy. I'll show it to you again later. Very scandalous pictures. Alcohol when she was in New York. Right here, I mean, this is right up Preston's alley. Then more pictures of like her phone with her ID on the back of it. Here you can see it again here with another girl. Here somebody else is taking the picture. It's not just her taking these pictures, so I'm not sure what's going on, but to me it screams human trafficking. Here's some people at a bar in Texas. If you can figure out where this location is, maybe you can figure out who she is. Putting makeup on with another girl. More scandalous pictures. And here's that picture again with the sex toy on the bed. It's dirty. Here's the guy with his face showing here, Rajshahi again. That might not even be him. That's just somebody from that city, I guess. But here you see Zillow houses for rent again on his profile. Leave you guys with this one last question. So if those other 2 guys are responsible for her murder in Wayne National Forest, then why is Preston creating all these fake accounts with India connections?